with 2 weeks to go till London Marathon. Join me for my last long run, longish, around Weymouth. So, as we go round, I'll just natter on a little bit about my journey up to this point, a bit about my routine in the morning, and then a little bit about this lovely place that I live, and lucky enough for to run in every day. If you're ever down in Weymouth, we've got this lovely nature reserve, literally right next to the sea, so I suppose it's the end of an estuary. Loads of birds here, even in the winter, but especially through the summer. The geese come down and have their babies, the Canadian geese, and we watch them through a few months of the year, learning to fly in formation, and all of a sudden, sometime October, November time, off they go until the following spring. Always fantastic to see, love it. So definitely worth checking out Lodmore Nature Reserve. We do a great park run down here too. So I've been training for a little while because I had to defer last year due to injury, so it's been up and down, but mostly I run really early in the morning, especially during the week. It's the only time I can fit it in with everything else. Every morning though, I can't just roll out of bed and go for a run. I've got to give myself at least 20 minutes because I've got to have a cup of tea every morning before I run. Part of my running routine. And then on the weekends, if I do a long run, then when I do a long run, I should say, not if, when, I've started trying overnight oats. So porridge without the cooking. And a bit of milk, bit of yogurt, bit of honey. You'll notice mine if I do the overlay have are a little bit yellowy, because a bit of turmeric in there, because I heard that's good for inflammation. So trying to put that in the diet, so it tastes pretty good. And then get myself sorted, pop to the loo, bit of Vaseline, because turns out I'm not immune from chafing, even though I thought for a while I was, just wasn't running far enough. And here we are, off on the run. So you'll probably see I lay out all my gear the night before, because it's part of my ritual, if you like. It makes it a lot harder to say no in the morning or find excuses. So once I've done that and gone to sleep, it's firmly in my head. It's like going to work or getting the kids sorted. It's kind of non-negotiable. It's going to happen, whatever. So what I've got there laid out is obviously clothing to wear. My backpack, I'm trying the hydration thing bladder today because I'm struggling with the bottles a little bit. So far so good. The extra weight doesn't seem to be particularly impeding me. There's probably just over 1 kilo of water in there. I get my energy sachets. Got 3 of those today because it seems about right for a 2 hour or so run. And then got an inhaler because I get seasonal asthma. So have a little puff. This is the worst time of year. I'm really hoping London's not too bad for pollen in a couple of weeks' time. But once I get in a rhythm with my running, it's not too bad. But I've got it with me anyway, just in case, and always take a couple of puffs before I go. What else have I got down now? Sunglasses, which apparently I forgot. So, no sunglasses today. That's annoying. Frustrating. And then earbuds, because I like to listen to podcasts and music and record these, so they're quite handy for that. And here is the wonderful sea. So very lucky to run here in Weymouth, Dorset. I run here in the dark, at sunrise, so occasionally at sunset, and in the freezing cold, in the pouring rain. But I love it best when the sun's shining. And sunrise here in the morning is just fantastic. And all year round, I get to run here. This incredible place. The only small downside is if I run my usual route, it's very flat, which, while on the surface seems a good thing, it doesn't train me very well for hills. So I have to remember to factor the hills in here and there. But look at this. Beautiful place. There we go, coming up to 5 kilometres in these lovely white sandy beaches. And this is really what Weymouth is known for. King one of the King Georges, King George III, I don't know, one of them used to come down here on holiday, and that really made Weymouth quite popular with people. You've got this beautiful sand, good old swinging ship and a helter-skelter up there. And the wonderful sand sculptures, I'll grab a picture on the way by, which have been happening since I was a boy. Before that, wonderful place to come for a holiday. Come down, it's lovely. Sorry, that was a bit of a wobbly one around the seafront if I play that just before this one. That is the wonderful Weymouth seafront. The esplanade, that hasn't changed really for 100 years or so. You can see great similarities. And on the other side we've got the pavilion, which has changed because that burnt down some years ago and then was rebuilt, but they do great shows there and it's a great asset to the town really. And right, here we go. So I'm trying out different things with this whole hydration thing because changing what you do on the day is not a good idea apparently. It is the sort of thing I would do, but I'm not going to do it today. So I didn't realise was when I bought this bladder 6 months or so ago, it doesn't actually go with the pack, so I've had to sort of jimmy rig this. I'm going to have a look at that and get something stitched in because it kind of flaps under my arm, which is mildly annoying and will definitely get annoying on marathon day. But the important thing is I've got the tube and I can drink as I go. Normally I have a glug from a bottle while going. What I'm doing with this is just taking little sips every 10 minutes, a good drug on it, and taking it in. Inside it are electrolytes. And most of you probably know, but as we run, especially if you're like me and sweat a lot, you lose quite a little bit of salts from the body, and salts are super important because they help signals. Already lost too many. They have signals carried around the body on the nerves and that, and they use the salts, sodium, potassium, magnesium, all that sort of thing, zinc, to take those messages around. And by putting some electrolytes in the water you take on, you lower the risk of losing too many electrolytes and then getting a little bit wobbly, because if the messages don't travel around, your brain doesn't work properly and your body doesn't function properly. So ever so important. I use at the moment Fasten Up, and there might be a discount code in the comments because I've got one of those. So right, here we go. So we're now around the old Weymouth Harbour. Weymouth used to be split into two towns, Melcombe Regis on one side and Weymouth on the other, and they used to be slightly competitive for the trade because they'd have a port on either side. That was a little thing, but they were brought together eventually. And this was a site around the harbour here of certain battles during the Civil War back in the 1500s. There is one of the buildings has a cannonball stuck in the side of the building. Sadly, it's not actually a cannonball, it's a wooden replica these days because they're worried about it falling on someone's head. But look out for it if you come to Weymouth. And I used to come here as a kid, and there's a guy who used to row a little dinghy across, and that's how you could get across without having to walk all the way around. So I think they still do it, so look out for it if you come during the summer. And this here is the old stone pier, which we used to spend hours on as kids, fishing with mum and dad. Not catching much, but fishing. And then we would head down onto the beach over there, the stone beach, and have a barbecue. And to avoid food poisoning, absolutely cremate the sausages. Wonderful memories. And it's good to be here and be able to come here regularly and remember that. And now we are around the lovely Noth Gardens, and the Noth Fort is back there somewhere. You saw it just before this. And that's an old, I want to say 1800s, but I'm not 100% sure. Had gunning emplacements there to ward off ships coming in. So, yeah. But they've really made the gardens nice now. And just down here is Newton's Cove. And the water there is about 2 degrees cooler than elsewhere around this area to swim in, because it sucks in the water from out at sea because of the currents. So there you go. Interesting fact for you. And now around Bellevue Road, which is always quiet, so you can run in the middle of the road. Also, some beautiful houses along here. God knows what they cost. Bellevue, beautiful view, and assuredly, they do have a beautiful view, but I can't show it to you because there are big freaking fences and walls in the way. But lovely houses. So we're now around Sandsford Castle Gardens. It's very small gardens off the Rodwell Trail, and if you're here, come and see the castle. It's an old ruin, but it may not be there forever. So if you don't come and see it now, you may not get a chance. And we'll also drop in about Maranoia. Have you heard of Maranoia? There's the castle. Isn't it lovely? Maranoia is, I only learned about this the other day, a paranoia that marathon runners, and I'm sure other runners, get as they're coming up to a big race. Oh, the bridge is not working. Okay, not that way either. God, I'm completely off track here. When they're coming up to a big race, that every little sniffle, every little twinge in the ankle or the back, they assume is an imminent dislocation, break, full rupture of a tendon, or pneumonia kicking in. And it will stop them from doing what they do on race day. So remaining present in the moment, remembering this has not been an issue in the previous 6 months of training, and also that these things are outside our control, and all we can do is follow the plan as best we can and remain healthy and having a good approach to our final couple of weeks leading up to the race day. But I love the term Maranoia, it's brilliant. If you come to Weymouth, you've got to go see the Isle of Portland, wherever it is, known as Vindilis by the Romans, and it's a great big hunk of rock that has been quarried almost to being hollow. Well, probably not quite, but they used the stone to build all sorts of things in London, especially after the Great Fire of London. And the view here is from the Rodwell Trail, which about 1.5 kilometres, I'm not actually quite sure, I'll find out in a minute, and used to be the railway used to run this way all the way over to Portland, I think. And there's a platform further down. Try and get a picture. And here we are in a tunnel. Should have got a video just now. Just been running with a couple of guys who were, one's training for Manchester, one might do Manchester. They're on about 20 miles. Last long run before Manchester in 2 weeks. And the guy who's with the guys entered, he's only ever run sort of like 6 miles before 10k, so this is awesome for him. Morning. But runners, such wonderful friendly people, they really are. So, good time to mention running with other people. 90% plus of my runs on my own, competing with myself, setting a target, following the plan, that kind of thing. But what I do find is sometimes running with other people can either put me on a slower pace because I tend to run to theirs, or if I'm running with someone with a slightly faster pace, I tend to run up to theirs. And because you're running with other people, sometimes chatting away takes your mind off what's happening. It can actually result, if you pick the right person to run with a much better pace and time than you normally would have put in. The guys running here, much younger and fitter than me, paced them down the 1.5 kilometres, whatever, Rodwell Trail, and definitely have upped my average pace because of it. So yeah, so find someone a little bit quicker than you to run with, especially if you're trying to PB. Handy hint. And here is one of those train platforms I said about. So the other end of the Rodwell Trail, which I didn't check how far it was, but there we go. 15 kilometres in, and you'll find in a selection of underpasses and under bridges, there's some wonderful graffiti and murals in Weymouth. So definitely worth as an alternative trip round to check those out. Also, the other thing, gels. Gels are great for keeping those sugar levels up for a run, but you end up with sticky fingers, which is really horrible when you're sweaty as well, because trying to clean your hands off is nigh on impossible. Never mind though, sort it out later. Who cares about sticky fingers? So you'll see on my left here, there's these Victorian beach huts, I suppose they are, and you rent those off a local trust. for the year. It's a very long waiting list. And they're lovely. Lovely place to store some stuff and come down to the beach during the summer if you're local. One of the downsides to Weymouth in the summer, but obviously important for the economy is, and during the general holidays, is a lot of people running or walking along the Esplanade. Actually, it's a bit quieter here, but absolute nightmare as a runner trying to get through at times. But not too bad this morning because it's a bit overcast. So, nearly home, and this has been a rather random episode of Dan's running adventure. The last little bit, the last quarter, is always the hardest. Doesn't matter how far I run, it's always the bit I have to push the most. Always. Here we go. Last little bit, morning, and just putting that last effort in to take us another couple of kilometres to make it a half marathon. Woo! So, the final thing to mention is a challenge when running with hay fever. Not just the breathing, but with all these lovely plants, flowers, grasses, trees, all that stuff, the pollen is really high and it gets all in my eyes. And by this point, my eyes are watering quite a bit and everything's a bit blurry. So when I see people, I don't know if I know them or not. And I'm getting old, so my eyes are a bit blurry anyway. So yeah, running with hay fever, it's not always fun. Having said that, been a cracking run today, really good. And that is all, folks. Half marathon, 21k, timed it perfectly for getting back home. Feeling pretty smug at the moment, always nice when that happens. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, subscribe for more later on. I'll be taking a trip in a week and a half down the Expo on a Wednesday on the train, so I'll be recording about that. And yeah, if you're in Weymouth, if you've been to Weymouth, if you're planning on going to Weymouth, drop me a little comment. Have a great day.